Hi, it's Sandy Parker, and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be working on a technique that Kristina Werner showed us, and it was called, I think, it's called watercolor smooshing, or maybe paint smooshing, but that's what we're going to be playing with. And we're going to be using these two stamp sets. This is Concord and 9th Hello Lovely, and this is Simon Says Stamp. I forgot what the you matter. I couldn't remember what the second word is. And I used the die and already got the U cut out. I know you're thinking that's hard to believe. She used her vagabond again. It's true. So we're starting with a 5x7. No, that's a lie. It's 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 piece of watercolor paper. I have a piece of clear acetate, and we're going to be using that to smoosh or ink around with. And I have my water so we can squirt a little bit on there to get everything moving. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Onyx Black, Versafine Onyx Black. You know the story about this. If you don't, and you're new to my channel, I didn't like the way the lid flaps around on that Onyx Black container, so one of my viewers said, hey, you should buy one of these custom blend distress inks. It's empty and you can use re-inker. So I bought the re-inker for the Versafine, and there it is. I love it. Makes me happy, because the other one did not. It made me very unhappy. We're going to be using these colors. I forgot to tell you these. These are the colors we're going to be playing with today. They are Fired Brick, Ripe Persimmon, Spice Marmalade, Mustard Seed, Crushed Olive, and Mowed Lawn. And those are the ones we're going to be smooshing. And we might be having to use some other tools too. We might use a blending brush, and we might be using our watercolor brushes. I don't know. But right now, what we're going to be doing is stamping. I put all my images in my MISTI that I wanted to use. I'm going to get them out of the way. And this is the first I've used these stamps, so they might not ink up really well. Hopefully they do. My goal here is to get everything to be nice and black, and then I'm going to probably emboss the Thinking of You that's at the very top. But for right now, I know I've stamped it a million times, but when you have a new stamp, sometimes it doesn't want to absorb the ink, and I think that's where we stand right now, is we aren't wanting to absorb the ink. Now, if you have any problems with your hands or dexterity, I really recommend putting a cloth between you and your MISTI when you're doing a big image like this. That way it's not, the friction isn't on your hand, it's on the cloth. So just thought I'd tell you, that's my little system, in case you care. And then I'm gonna do it again, because I knew that the image would not be good, because again, this is a first stamping with everything. One more time. Well, hopefully it did. It's better. So I practiced a little bit before I started, and what I figured out was I'm not really good at smooshing when it comes to not having lines to work with. And by that I mean, I think I'm going to be better at this technique if I have an embossed image. So what I did was I put clear embossing powder on this and heat set it so that hopefully when I smoosh my watercolors, it will stay within the flower or within the leaves that I'm playing with. I hope that makes sense. The other thing I discovered was this big piece. You can't see it, I'm sure, but it's 5x7. It's exactly the same size as my card. It's too big for me to navigate with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it off, and I'm going to cut it in half. That way, when I do this technique, I'm actually going to be able to control the smooshing better. This is the difference between Kristina doing it and me doing it. When I do it, I have to kind of change things so they work for me, because of the way that my wrists and my hands move. So, the rest of you might not have to do that. And you can watch Kristina's video and see for yourself if that works for you. But for me, I'm going to have to play with it a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do before I do anything else is I have my watercolor bowl with my water in it, and I have these two brushes. One's a bigger round and one's a very fine round. I'm leaving those off to the side in case I have to do any movement. And I have Real Red by Stampin' Up. I'm smashing my acetate into the ink pad, and then I'm going to spray a little bit of water onto that. Now, the way Kristina did it is she just kind of moved it around, but I think I will have better success if I do this and get all my water and my ink moved together. Let me get my card back in, and I'm going to then, I think what she did also is she actually smashed hers down right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ink where I want it, like this, move it around a little bit with my acetate, then I was going to take my other piece of acetate and smash it, but I'll just use the same piece. So now I'm going to smoosh it down like she did it. It gives me more control, and when she was moving it, she didn't have any trouble controlling it. When I tried moving it myself, I was getting ink all over everything. So, I'm just trying to make this technique work for me. I want to do it. It looks really fun, and it is really fun. I mean, you can tell it's fun. It's just I want to make sure that it's also something that I can do. So I'm going to wipe this off again, and this time I'm going to go in with ripe persimmon. Now let me see if I can dry that a little bit first. Now we're going to go in with ripe persimmon, and I'm going to do kind of the same thing, only this time I'm really going to get a lot of this onto my acetate, and back to the water, not a lot, and my brush. I'll still smoosh. I just need to move some of this ink from one posy that's absorbing all the ink. Wipe off my smushy sheet. Smush that one. Ooh, see, now that's what I had happen last time. I got it everywhere I didn't want it, and the places I did want it, I didn't end up with it. Okay, smush this one around. I don't care if it goes into the other flowers. I just don't want to end up with my leaves being completely covered with it, with the orange. We'll call this modified smooshing. Okay, let's go on to let's see. I think I want to do the orange, the spice marmalade, and stick with orange for these other, these other teeny tiny flowers that I'm going to have to completely cheat on. Water. My yellow. I don't even see me being able to smush this one. I'll have to change the name and the title to Kristina Werner's modified Kristina Werner's technique. I don't like to tell a lie. Okay, I think I'm gonna make. Hey, I'm ready to smush on something. I could do this one. Maybe I could get it. It's big enough to smush on. Okay, I'm going to dump a little of that yellow into the middle flower as well. I'll smoosh this. Let's try some leaves. Well, we better dry it first. Okay, let's try some greens. I think I'm going to go with a lighter green first. So, here's my next plan. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put some yellows and some oranges, I think, on my laminated sheet, and then I'm going to smoosh them around the outside. So I think I'm going to take some of this spiced marmalade and put it around, and some of the mustard seed. I'm trying to go around the edge with the mustard seed so I don't overlap with the orange. And then I'm going to take my brush and smear them together. I'm going to just pounce in some more orange and just leave it there. Before I go any further, I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to take off my tape because I want my card, I want this to be all colored, the whole card, because the rest of it is, okay, now I'm smooching, or smearing, or whatever she called it. Obviously not enough water in my background color. So I'm going to have to put some water. I should have probably wet the surface first. Oops, probably way too much now. Let's see if I can smear it around a little bit. Now I'm doing the technique right. Well, theoretically. I'm going to leave that much on. And I need to start smearing again. Okay, so let's get, I think I'm just going to do mostly yellow and orange, and then I'll put some orange into it afterwards, like maybe I'll pounce some orange around after I'm done. Does that make sense? I'll explain it in a second, right? Okay. Don't know how close we are to the same color, but it looks pretty close. Only this time. Let's see if I can. This is kind of how I saw her do it. This is how Kristina did it, where she moved her ink around with her acetate and kind of got, of course she's not gonna, she probably isn't covered with ink like I'm gonna be, but was these brushes that are really cheap. I don't know what kind of brushes they are, but they have really stiff bristles. They work really good for flicking because you get very little dots. You don't get, you know, big gobs. So I really recommend these for this. Persimmon. And a little bit more of this orange down at this end. Mix those two together with some water. So I have something to flick. That's the key. You gotta have something to flick. There, you could see it, couldn't you? I've never done the toothbrush thing. I probably should, because I think I would have more control with the short bristles of a toothbrush. But right now, I'm just playing with this. I think our problem is that I have areas where nothing would absorb. Last but not least, let's just take a little bit of the yellow onto our acetate. It's cleaned off now. And I'm just going to put it on there and wet it, and we'll try to cover the areas that we didn't cover before. Hey, my hands look great. Yeah. When could I do it? Could I do a project that doesn't involve me getting that mess all over the place? Could I? Just once. Anybody? Anybody? Let's get that. See if we can get these yellows. So far, I have to say, this modified smooshing is loads of fun, and I wish I could do regular smooshing, but I don't see it in the cards for me. I do think, though, that whatever I've done here, you should try. It's loads of fun. Okay, let's dry this bad boy up and see if we can get a card to put it together. So I think what I'm going to do now is get my card base together, and I'll be back. I put a piece of fun foam on the back with tear tape, and then I got a piece of paper that is 10 inches long by 7 inches high, and this piece, if you'll remember, is 6 3/4 inches by 4 3/4. I see I got a little bit of there's little fur balls at the end of your paper. If you ever get that from cutting it, you probably need to change the blade on your paper trimmer. And this is just like a nail file that you can get through any, like Walmart even. It's used on nails, but it's really great for cards. So now that my paper looks better, I put my picture on it. I'm going to use some embellishments on it, I think. That looks good. I have these orange, it's Nouveau crystal drops, and I like to kind of put them, just like little drops of them around the card. And I accidentally, you know how I'm a lunatic, I accidentally cut this when I was doing things, so I thought if I put one of my little Nouveau drops right there, that would kind of cover that up. Then the other thing I'm going to do is I have my word, let me put that in the back. I have the word you, and I have this irresistible Pico embellisher. It makes like a shiny color. Well, let me just play with this, and I'll come back and see if I can get it to come out of the bottle better, or if it's just really gonna fight me the whole time. Alright, so now what you're going to find out is all I had to do is shake it, and I hadn't used it, I'd only used it once before and I didn't have any problem with it, and once I shook it and played with it, it came out really fast, no problem. I'm just trying to go over that first part over again to make sure that any clumpy parts come out and that all of my black is covered, or all my white is colored over with the black. Okay, I think I'm going to try and heat dry that a little bit. So I decided I was going to turn my U that I've put the black on into a sticker, and there are a couple of methods on how to do that, but I like the Xyron machines. I started out with this little wee Xyron, and it's really simple to use, and these are very inexpensive. You put your word down into the slot, you pull the paper from the other end, and it creates a sticker. So that didn't fit into my smaller Xyron, so this one is just a little bit bigger, and this one actually has a crank on it so that I can kind of get it started, and then I have this sideways so you can see the back, and hopefully as it goes you can see the U as it comes out. And you only have to make sure that your word comes out far enough that you can tear the edge off of it, and it makes it simple. Okay, so I zoomed in, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and you want to rub your it has sticky underneath it. In this model it doesn't have sticky all the way over it, like the other model has a layer of paper over it. This one just has the paper and sticky stuff on it, and you just need to make sure that your embellishment is, your die cut is attached well to that layer, like that. And sometimes you'll get a little bit in between, and I like to, I'm sure you can't see it, but I like to take my pokey tool and kind of pull out anything and smooth out my edges so that I don't have big pieces of glue that you can see. The reason I'm fussing with it as much as I am is it's black on black, and I'm afraid that you'll see that glue, and I don't want you to. I could always go back over it with my Pico, this bottle, this Irresistible, but I'm hoping I won't have to. So now the key is making sure I line it up on my word, and I'm going to start at the back. There's another little piece sticking. I'm going to start at the back and lay my U down first, and then go to the O. And then the Y kind of almost sets itself. I think if I had done it the other way, the Y would have given me some trouble. So there it is. I think it looks really nice. Let's put some washi tape on the back of our card, and I'll stamp the back with my stamp, and we'll be all set to go. I'm just using, sorry, get that out of the way. I'm just using the leaf on white. I thought it was simple and matched the back of my card as far as the coloring. I got a little bit of that black Pico on it, but we're going to blame that on the Postal Service. Don't tell anybody. That little black spot, ignore it. Just ignore it. Wasn't me. And last but not least, I made this for you. I think the black on it will be fine for writing on the inside. I was kind of concerned that when I wrote on the inside the green would be too dark, but I'm going to use a Sharpie when I write, so I don't think that'll be a problem. The modified smooshing, I think, is my favorite technique. It was fun to play with. I love doing all the little different little circles on the top, and they are very 3D. I hope you can see that you can actually see the raised up. Oh, and I did Carol Held's technique where I wrapped the washi tape around my foam, as I did in the last video, and if you've never seen that, you should go to Carol Held's channel, and well, I'll put a link to that so you can see it. That's my card. I hope you enjoy it, and Kristina Werner's smooshing technique, I really appreciate her letting me use it. I hope you'll give this a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.